Welcome to the Sober by Design podcast, where we explore the many pathways to recovery and a better life through conversations with a wide array of guests. Whether you're sober curious, in recovery, or simply looking to improve your mental health and well-being, this podcast will have something for you. Each week, we sit down with inspiring guests from all walks of life who share their personal stories of struggle and triumph, offering valuable insights and practical advice on how to design a life worth living. From addiction and mental health to spirituality and creativity, we cover a wide range of topics that are relevant to anyone seeking to live a more fulfilling and authentic life. So join us on this journey of discovery, growth, and transformation, and start designing a new life. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Sober by Design podcast. Tonight we have a substitute guest because the original guest kind of fell off the map for the week. So tonight we have Winston Hennings. Winston is my older son. So for any of you that listened to the bonus episode with Desmond, we are doing somewhere between a bonus episode and a real episode tonight. And the idea is to not let a week go by without this. And I don't think I can carry an hour by myself. So Winston has graciously offered to speak with me on camera, microphone, and put it out into the universe. So hi, Winston. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I graciously accepted it. It was more of a...
You graciously accepted. Oh, you think I strong-armed?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of options. So, again, I appreciate it. So I guess just to give everybody a bit of sense of who you are, can you just kind of give them some basic idea, like, how old you are, what's going on right now, those type of things, so that our guests know?
Well, I'm currently 17 years old, about a month out from graduation. And then headed right into college at the local community college here.
Yeah,
and
right.
Hoping to major in computer science.
Okay.
And currently playing track and soccer at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So no break. You're going right. You're literally not even stopping. You are starting a college class before you even graduate high school and just kind of continuing on. So
that is correct.
A lot of drive. Sometimes we wonder where it came from, like where this, race to the finish came from. You've kind of been that way since you were a little kid. Any idea of?
I don't know. I was kind of thinking about that today. Like during track, we were running, and it's like you just got to get to the end. And I don't know what the end is, but you just got to work as hard as you can, and hopefully it pays off at some point. And I think it's starting to pay off already.
Okay. Yep. The end, though. I mean, I guess that's a very big idea, right? Because the end is actually not...
We don't know what the end is.
Right. You never actually get to the end. So if you're racing to get to the end, well,
yeah, I mean, I think it's more of like racing to like success or like happiness, kind of.
Okay.
And I don't know what that... I think it's more like trying to find what that is at a fast pace.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, I think everybody does that at different paces, right? So some people are very slow and methodical about it. And some people, I guess like yourselves, like again, I said, since you were a child, we would get a lot of feedback from teachers. Winston rushes through work. Winston wants to be the first one done. Most competitive, in like third grade was your award, So I get it. I mean, it's in you somewhere. But the race is interesting to watch as a parent. We tell you all the time to slow down, and you kind of are just continuing this march.
I think if I stop, then it will stop for too long, and then I would lose that. And I think it's better to go faster than too slow, because then you could regret something, but you could also regret something if you go too fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is just sitting around. I can't really do it.
Okay. So
Doesn't-
where you're at now is, on this quick path. And the plan is to graduate quickly from the community college and then kind of continue
Yep.
on.
Yep, hoping to do that in a year. Taking the college class starting in about a week, and hoping to then start up the fall semester, doing 5 classes, get enough credits for that semester, and then head into the spring.
Okay.
Do 6 classes, finish out the associates, and then where to after that is still to be determined.
Yeah. And it was a pretty, when I tell people what you're doing, I do kind of talk about it as a grown-up decision, because you got into a lot of the big state schools around the area. You got, academic aid awards to places, but your award to the community college is full tuition, and it saves you a lot of money, and everybody a lot of money, and you decided that that's a good path to go. So that is a grown-up decision, and you have a very clear path in front of you in your head. I'm just wondering, are you seeing a lot of other people your age kind of think this through, or are a lot of people still kind of going, hey, I got to go to a 4-year college. That's the way. I need that experience. Or is there sort of a blowback against, the high costs?
I think most kids definitely worry about the cost, because parents will say, well, we'll help you cover it, or some won't say, we'll help you cover it. And I think that kind of forces a kid one way or the other, but I think money is definitely the biggest determining factor when you're thinking about college.
Yeah.
Because at one hand, you have a big school name that somebody might know. Like, say a kid got into an Ivy League and got some aid, but it's still $40,000-$50,000 a year, not even including room and board or any other money you're going to spend. Or there's the local community college where you go for free and you stay home cooked meals. You like it there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take as many classes as you want and use that time to figure out what is next. Because this point in your life, like, this kind of sets you to what you're going to do for the rest of your life. I know you can change it, but these from junior year, senior year of high school to whenever you finish your degree, or if you don't go to college, it kind of sets you to where you're going to go in a way. So I think most kids get nervous about the money, but you still see a lot of kids going to big schools because they don't want to be, oh, I went to the local community college instead of some big name state school, or doesn't matter because their friends are going there, or girlfriends. But I just think that the money they can give you isn't enough.
Right.
Like you said, I got the big awards from big schools. Like Merrimack gave me a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been probably my choice, but it was still $30,000 a year, and I don't have $30,000 to pay every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that it's not worth $30,000 a year. We go to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, so on, so forth, for free, technically. I know you pay taxes,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it in some way should be the same for college. And I know that's a big, like, political idea on everyone's behalf, but I think that is where it should go. College should be free. I know professors have to have like a master's degree or whatever, and they should get paid, but they'll still get paid by the government. And I think that's how it should be. I just think high school teachers should have a lower end salary. I mean,
Well,
I,
I think the idea could be that, we live in a very cost prohibitive state school structure, right? So in New Jersey, Rutgers is our big, state school, but we have Montclair, we have Keene, we have Rowan, we have other ones, but our in-state tuitions are huge. I mean,
Rutgers is like $30,000 a year.
total. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to live on campus and the tuition, it's
That's just the tuition.
no, not for in-state, not for in-state. But anyway, it is well above where other states are, right? So, a North Carolina state resident can go to Chapel Hill for, under $10,000, I think.
That's reasonable.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Like
right,
$10,000 is a lot more reasonable than $40,000.
right. And like University of Virginia State School, one of the best schools in the country, reasonable if you live in Virginia, totally out of bounds if you go there from New Jersey. I just think it's a very weird system that does need some tinkering. I don't know that it needs to be 100% free, but something needs to be done because it is becoming unattainable for a good majority of the country. And
I also think that the middle class, or whatever you want to call it, people that make a decent amount of money but don't have enough to pay their kids full tuition, get lost in the financial aid world.
yes, they do. I mean, and we saw it with all
Yeah.
of our friends and, people that we know as parents. Yeah, it was a tough one. So, it's hard to watch that happen for us, for you, and, obviously our other friends and their kids. But, I think over time it's going to work out. But again, we are happy for you that you made a choice and you feel very confident about it. And, I think it's good. Like you said, you're home, you're comfortable. And when you're home and comfortable, that's probably when you do your best learning anyway.
Yep.
So kind of shifting gears because this is a recovery podcast. I know you are you're a man who takes care of his body. You like to work out and you're, active. My question is, how is, and I don't call anybody out by name. I don't need specifics here, but just in general, how are you seeing, drugs and alcohol, and I guess I would even bring in vaping, smoking, just throughout sort of your age range, not only in your school, but just like around the county. I mean, I know a lot of folks. So is it high, or is it are people taking any measures to not do this, or is it just out of control?
I think it's like just based off of percentage, I think probably upwards to 60 to 70% of kids just around here at least do some type of drinking or vaping, smoking, drugs.
Yeah.
And I think teachers try to stop it, but then there's also teachers that don't know how to stop it or don't stop it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And kids don't stop it. Like they just continue to do it without understanding the consequences behind it. I know like a month or two ago, we had at our school, it's Wellness Week, and they had people that were arrested for marijuana, selling drugs, harder drugs like crack or heroin or anything like that. And you could physically see the toll that it like took on them.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people spoke. And if like I looked around, I would see the kids that do drugs laughing or sleeping or not taking it seriously. They even had a scenario where they put kids in a prison cell,
mm-hmm.
which is where some of them may end up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like scenario. And one of the guys that was actually in prison for like 15, 20 years, he said, put these kids in there, and the kids were joking, laughing around. and he's like, you guys would get beat up and jumped, and it's not like all fun and games. It's not like that. So
Yeah.
if you do drugs, try and rethink about your decisions, because it can lead down to a bad path very quickly.
Yeah.
You could start with a drink on a Sunday night for a football game, or just smoke some weed with your friends, but then it leads to Adderall or just something small, and then it builds up until you can't control it anymore. And then you lose your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and the people around you start to go.
Yeah. Do you think that you have a different view of it based on, what you saw? I mean, you were younger when I got sober, but, seeing me change, and then also just, some of what, addiction can do to a family just throughout our family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've had a drink here and there, but it just doesn't appeal to me. But even if it did, like, even if I enjoyed it, I wouldn't do it, because I know how it affects families and the person doing drinking or doing any drugs. I just think I don't think there is really any benefits, but let's say if there were any benefits, the consequences outweigh the benefits you get out of it.
Yeah, well, they've actually said there's no benefit. Like, I know a lot of times people will say, there'll be a news story that, a glass of red wine helps with your heart or something. But the most recent news stories, and I think even on Huberman's podcast, it's like there is zero benefit. It is, alcohol is poison, cancer causing, substance.
Yeah.
I think there's other substances maybe that are, okay for some, but I don't know that, alcohol is one that anybody needs for any reason.
I think that, like, these kids around here, or anywhere, because I know it's not just in where we live, that the kids that do drink, their livers are going to be destroyed. Just any internal organs are going to be hurt from it, and it's just going to affect them down the line, and they don't even know it yet.
Yeah. So I see you're looking up at your girlfriend. Um, so I was going to ask also about mental health. It's another big thing in our family, and it's probably not a subject that people in school take seriously, although I think it's becoming more so. Do you see that being taken a little bit more to heart in high school these days, or is it still kind of a joke?
By teachers or kids?
Give me both.
I think teachers take it seriously to a point, but they can only really do so much. I know you're there Monday to Friday, but it's only part of your day in one class, so they can only do so much. But teachers will check on you, make sure you're okay, and obviously they're always like a support system you can rely on. And I know at our school we have a student center, and I know at least one of my friends, he goes there once or twice a week to talk to one of the counselors, and I think they for sure take it seriously there. And I know the guidance counselors at most school definitely take it seriously, but I don't think kids fully understand it. I don't think they understand the severity behind it and how it can affect people. Some people, you don't even know what's going on in their life at home or outside of school.
Right.
And that's their mental health. And if that life outside of school isn't good, their mental health is not going to be great, and it's just going to lead to them being upset or leading to a bad path.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about that here in the house a lot, right? When somebody's having, maybe it's somebody is like, wow, why are they like that? We always say we don't know what's going on at home for that person. We don't know what their life is like. But, and then there's some people who have an okay life, and they still have mental health issues, right? But it's always, how supportive can we be for that person?
Mhm.
I know you're
I,
pretty good at that.
yeah, I know that recently we had a kid actually commit suicide
Hmm.
at our school, and I don't think anyone really knew like what was going on.
Right.
And that it just you hear stories all the time at schools.
Well, I mean, when people die by suicide, well, not most of the time, there's a number of times when you wouldn't know that that person was struggling. I mean, we know that firsthand in our family, right? Your grandma, my mom, died by suicide. That happened, it's going to be 6 years in November. If you had to go back in time, I don't know that, you or I would have. I mean, there were signs for me, but I don't think that you at your age would have seen it, right? You saw her as a pretty, happy person, and she carried herself a certain way with you.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously I don't think I really even knew what that was
Right.
at the time because I was only 11 and I thought everything was like rainbows and
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, looking back now, like I remember a few times where I was like kind of a little freaked out by the way she would act, but
Right.
it's nothing like super out of the blue for someone.
Yeah.
Like at least for me, what I saw, because like you said, she had, and not that she had to, but she did. She acted a different way around me
Yeah.
because I was younger and her grandson.
Yeah. And, I think, you know, I didn't even realize, I just realized that, you were 11 and, or right around that age,
I
right?
was I was 12.
12. Yeah. I mean, not a little bit older than Dez. And, I wouldn't expect Dez to pick up on any of those signals, right? So it was a jolt for sure. You kind of grew up quick after that, I would
I mean,
say.
I think I grew up quick once Desi came around.
Yeah, you were still like, I think, you know, I growing up in a way where maybe the reality of life and what it is maybe hit a little harder over the past 5, 6 years for you. First with your grandmother dying like that, and then we had some issues around the house that you were obviously tuned into, and then Uncle Mark, right? So Uncle Mark passing a couple of years ago, I think all those things start to play into who you are as a person. I mean, how does something like that affect you as you kind of age through high school?
I mean, I think it changes your outlook on how you see at anything and everything. I know for a fact I have a few friends that I know struggle with mental health, getting back to that, and I know I make sure I check up on them. And I know there's people that check up on me. My girlfriend, especially, she makes sure that I'm good, and I make sure she's good. But I think we'll just say those two deaths in the family definitely change your outlook on how you like perceive things and take things. You gotta make sure you enjoy things more than you just blow through them. Because I think just let's just say like you're in a high school class, you gotta try and enjoy it however way you can. Like if you don't like English class, find a way to enjoy it or take something out of it. Because if you don't know like what's next. I mean, it's with anything.
I mean, it's what we say to do around here. I think that we have the best intentions in our house of being that way. Sometimes we all get in our own way. Sometimes we get in each other's way around here. Overall, it is the philosophy, right? I just was talking to somebody at work about it last night. That life is pretty short, and it's not worth getting hung up on nonsense in the office, or really wrapping your head around, you know, an issue with a family member, whatever the case is, trying to just enjoy the time we have and use it wisely, you know. So that's kind of what we preach. I'd say that we are maybe like a B family if we had to give ourselves a grade.
Yeah, B minus.
Yeah.
We missed the mark a little bit, but I think it's more the thought behind it than knowing in your mind that you should try to enjoy it. Like it tells your brain to do it. You have a subconscious and then a conscious, and your subconscious knows after you put it in there long enough that you have to start to enjoy things. And I think you start to enjoy things without even knowing it.
Right. Well, it's the same thing in like recovery. It's like progress, not perfection, right? We're not going to be perfect at this idea of just enjoying life on life's terms. I mean, even the people who I come across that seem like they're just like, freewheeling through life, I'm sure they have moments behind closed doors where they're, barely hanging on. So, we do have, we have bruises in this family. We have rough nights. We have rough weeks, and that is just okay to be that way. It's how we recover from those moments and, still support each other. And I think that's the important part. Have an idea of where you're heading, and then if you kind of falter, just get back on the track and keep going. And that's what it's been, I think, for a while now with us.
5-6 years.
Yeah, even before that too. I mean, I think that's when you became maybe acutely aware to it. But I mean, that had been going on in our house with me and Mom for, years before that, right? We tried to kind of implement that life. I mean, again, at that age, you're 11, so you're kind of freewheeling. I mean, look at Des. His life that's, what your life was. It's pretty carefree, and then there's something happens and boom, it's, I mean, Des isn't going to be carefree well, he could be. Yeah.
It's always been this way.
I know. He's like, the other night when we were hanging the mirrors in the bathroom, I was getting so frustrated because they weren't equaling out. And he just was like, okay is okay. Just, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like he does have some good philosophies. If we all listened to him a little bit more around here, we'd probably be a little bit calmer. The house would be a little bit disorganized. That's for sure. Our shoes would be wet. He left his cleats outside last night. I said, like, take them off outside, put them in the house. He did like half of it. His brain was already on to like the next thing after he took his cleats off. So we can't always be exactly like Des. So I guess, I don't want to keep you all night. I know that you have important things to do. You're a busy person. But the other question I had, and I mean, this could be a multi-part thing, is, what are the big worries for teenagers right now? You're 17, you're going to be, hopefully starting your life as an, quote unquote adult, in the next 4-ish years. What's the big worries of people your age? Do you even talk about it, or are you just like blissfully unaware?
I mean, we don't really talk about it, but I know personally I'm aware of my worries. I think my biggest is probably, where am I going to find time to have fun? And like, I want to travel and I want to find time to do that. I want to find time to just do things I enjoy. And I think time is something you can't get back. So that's kind of the idea behind like rushing through things, because then I feel like it opens up space at some point.
Well, but if you're always rushing through things and packing your time, then you have no time.
I understand that, but it also opens up time later on. So
yeah, but later on isn't guaranteed. So just be careful with your philosophy.
But I try to take care of my body, so I'm hoping that there is the later on.
I know. I think there's some examples in our lives of people who have kind of, threaded that needle of work, play, living life fully. You look at somebody like your Uncle Dave, successful dude, kind of has always kind of lived life on his terms, to be honest, since he graduated college. And, um, from the outside looking in, you'd go like, yeah, that's not going to work. But now he's living life large. He manages bands. He is always traveling. He's going to be overseas for a month in June. He spends time in Mexico. He's got a whole thing, right? But he still works. He's managed to sort of put those things together. So I think it's how you sort of structure your life a little bit. And that's something that, it's hard to think about when you're 17. You're just saying like, I want to have fun. And trust me, you're going to have time for fun for a while because you're not, you're not going to have a baby early. Well, you could. I mean, it's possible, but you still find time to do things. It's not just work, work, work. So time is your biggest worry. There's no like.
I know. I mean,
threats.
I think what comes next is a big worry. Like, I'm going to the community college, but I'm gonna get out in a year, and it's what do I do after that? Like, college is just a big worry because I wasn't like 100% sure on what college. So community college was a good idea because it's free and it's there. It was an option.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives me more time to figure out where I want to go after. And that's a worry. And then where like a house or apartment.
Yeah,
That's a
those are
big
the kind
worry.
of things that I'm thinking about. Like, are kids worried about the fact that
Oh no,
an average house is like $400,000?
Yeah, I was looking at apartments like for rent or like a small house, and it's like I saw apartment like the cheapest apartment was like $2,000 a month for like 500 square feet. That's extremely small and not worth $2,000. So that's a big worry, seeing stuff like that. How to get a job like good job experience to have on your resume, that's a worry.
Yeah.
But I think where like a worry is like, where do you want to live so you can have a stable job? Taxes aren't like, these are all like worries that kids do think about, but it's not, we're still kids, so we want to be a kid.
But I think that the answer to all this is that, I had the same thoughts, at some point, and it works out, right? Everything seems sort of unattainable when you're first starting out, and then you just do it somehow. Like, you figure out a way to get that first apartment. Maybe it's not just you, maybe it's you and 3 other people, and it's maybe not ideal, but it's a start, right? And then you're getting that first job, and maybe it's not paying exactly what you want, but you're getting that experience, and then you take the next step and the next step, and it's a slow build for, I would say, 90% of the people on the planet. I was not born into a wealthy family, therefore you were not born into a wealthy family. I am, I wish I could go back in time and fix that, but that is just not the reality of it. But what I can say is that if you work and just kind of make smart steps along the way, it tends to work out. Everybody kind of has gone through that. It's like it always seems just super unattainable, and until you're doing it, and then it happens. When you were in kindergarten, I don't think you could have projected, being a senior in high school and taking, physics or, whatever. What are you taking? Like advanced bio, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't, in your head, it wouldn't make sense. So, just like now at 17, like having a job that's paying you enough to have an apartment that's going to be more than 500 square feet just seems so crazy. But it's not a worry. Yeah, but it what I'm trying to say is like it's something you should be aware of, but I don't know that you need to worry about it. Like I think those things tend to, work themselves out in time. It's just, again, you have to wait for the time to catch up to where that point is. There might be some really shitty apartments in between now and then, right? And Mom and I had them. We lived above a seafood store. It was loud and disgusting, and we lived above a seafood restaurant kitchen, and our entrance into the house was like right through the kitchen. We had to walk up the grease carpet and then past the garbage can that was full of shellfish, and and it just was not the best scenario. But without that experience, I don't know that we end up where we are. It's just part of it, and a crappy job is part of it, and a crappy boss, and all those things. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but again, for the majority of people, I think it's more often that you get that than just like, hey, I got a great first job and they're going to pay me $1 bazillion. There's a little bit of work, but it normally always works out. Well, it always works out, just if you like the way it worked out or not.
I mean, I kind of have the vision of how I'm going to get the apartment or the house and the job, but it's far away. So you don't know like what roadblock or how things are going to work out.
Professional dancer, right?
Yeah, you just got to wait and see.
Professional dancer.
Yeah. Professional dancer.
Yeah. That's the move.
For sure.
I thought that you might say like, the biggest teenage worries like climate change or Russia or China or anything, but no, you guys don't care about any of that kind of crap. You just walk through life.
I think the climate change thing is not for us to figure out, but for the plants, the animals, and the earth to actually figure out. They've crazy climate changes, ice age, the Cambrian explosion, like the great oxidation, whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay.
There's all these big events that happened, and Earth is still spinning, and we're still here.
And it might be that it just wipes us out, and that might be part of the cycle.
Exactly. There might be another. Right now, scientists are saying this is another big extinction, like mass extinction.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen all those movies, right? We watch them all the time.
But I think like climate change, like that's not, Earth is finding its way to adapt to us, and its way of adapting to us could be getting rid of us at some point.
Yeah. It could shake us off like a flea.
Some could say COVID was part of Earth's way to figure out how to take us out.
Could have tried, failed.
But I think that's not a big worry. But I do think the Russia-Ukraine situation is a little bit of a worry. I know like I'll read the news headlines, which I know you should not read just headlines. You should dive into the articles. But I see the headlines, and sometimes it's a little worrying, where I know that all the big countries have nuclear warheads, and I know personally that's a worry for me, that at any point that could go off, and I'm not ready for that.
No, I don't think anybody's ready for that. For anybody who doesn't read the news or listen to the news, or maybe just listens to, CBS this morning, there was a drone strike on Vladimir Putin's residence.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Try to get killed.
Yeah, and they're not sure who actually put the drone strike out. Russia's blaming Ukraine. Russia's blaming Washington, D.C. People over here are saying it was a false flag. It's actually Russia striking against themselves. Whatever it is alarming, and should be front page news. Like, it should 100% be front page news. It should be just about everything that anybody's talking about. But somehow we got jumped today by the Proud Boys getting, prosecuted. But here we have a situation where, a world leader was targeted by somebody, um, which could just cause the war to escalate. And I just don't know that we are putting enough emphasis on stories like that, and fully understanding the gravity of what this war that's going on in the Ukraine right now represents. It is like it's such a sticky situation, and it's kind of been boiling, and I just for me that's like that is my biggest, I guess, worry for our family at the moment. Just because it could have global impact, but we'll see what happens. Um, you know.
I think another like news headline that I saw recently was the government running out of money and estimated 6 months. The Secretary of the National Treasury said that we would go into default. I don't fully understand it, but
Yep.
basically the government runs out of money. But
Yeah, it's another big one to worry about. I mean,
I think that's something everyone should know about because it's a big one.
yeah. So my understanding is that Janet Yellen said June 1st would be the plus or minus a week or two. I think she put a caveat after she said June 1st, but I guess that was the date where we would start to default on our our loans as a country. And again, just letting everybody know, this is not a news show. Do not trust a word I'm saying. Go read out some real news. But the gist of it is that, June 1st is that date. And if that date passes and we do not have a new structure in place to pay our obligations, it could have a huge impact on Wall Street, because Wall Street hears June 1st. They expect something to be done by June 1st. They don't care if we're still good for another 2 weeks. So, mark your calendars. And June 1st is pretty darn close. I mean,
3-4 weeks away.
yeah, and I was listening yesterday. I think Biden's gone for 2 weeks. He's traveling to Japan and Australia, or at least 10 days, and then you have to get a bill passed. Both houses,
Takes time.
and then he has to sign it. It just doesn't seem likely, like that it's going to happen before June 1st, and couple that with the banks collapsing. We've had a couple huge bank collapses. If you just total up the money of those bank collapses that we've had recently, they are actually more than the ones that we had in 2008. So it is kind of setting up a weird scenario. One, again, that I think we have to, just keep an eye on as a country, and really be, ready for what comes out of it. And, for people who are in my world in recovery, those types of moments can throw people off. In 2008, people were losing houses, jobs were being lost. That really does kind of put a drag on people who have, substance use issues. So, I just want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on things, and understanding what's going on in the world.
I mean, I think if something like that were to happen, obviously you can't ignore it, but I also think you shouldn't spend all your time focusing on that, because then you could go down, or you could go back to drinking or whatever your substance abuse problem is. But I think filling up your time with some type of hobby, or just maybe even just cleaning your house once a week, that gets that's a day that you don't drink or do some type of drug, and then maybe start to go on like a morning jog. Like, I know, like, scientifically you're supposed to wake up to the sun. Like, you should go out and you should just sit in the sun for like 10 15 minutes, and then get some nice cold water, have a nice breakfast. And I think starting your day off just like that sets your brain to be like, this is what you should be doing. Go outside, go for a jog, work out, eat a good meal.
Those are all good tools. Most people don't do any of the things that you talk about, right? Most people wake up and look at their phone.
Yep.
They go downstairs, they watch the news, they shower, they run to work. I mean, that is the reality of how people behave in the mornings.
I mean, I never said that I do it personally, but I would like to strive to do that at some point.
Well,
High
you
school
wake up
doesn't,
early. I mean, you wake up very early. So,
yeah, high school doesn't really let you like wake up to the sun for 15 minutes and do what you need.
well, it's not just high school. It's
I
our
think it's
society.
more, yeah, I think our society doesn't really set up people to be extremely healthy.
No, no, they do not. Something changed, and we are a miserable, unhealthy society.
I know the obesity rate is through the charts, diabetes,
All right.
like heart problems are through the roof, just like all of it. And I think the first problem, like even with COVID, I think the first problem was people were not healthy.
Right.
And people's main source of food is greasy fast food, and I don't think that's what it should be. I think it should be even just like a real restaurant where they cook a meal, like literally not just deep fry it.
It's hard though sometimes, right? There's a couple things that lead to that, and you know that. One
Yep.
is like, the cost of really good food, really healthy food is expensive. We are, I think, privileged to be able to eat like that when we want. We do have we keep junk around, but we eat good food. I mean, when we want to eat good food, we eat good food. Some people don't have that option. Some people, one, can't afford it. Two, they live in areas where they can't even get groceries, right? They're food deserts. And then three, when we're going full bore, like in this house, between you, your brother, my obligations, mom stuff, sometimes we just don't have time to sit and eat normally. Like last night, we had a baseball game that started at 7:30. We did not get home until 10:30, and I was at work. I mean, where was I eating?
I had fast food.
Yeah, I had a sandwich. Mom had sandwiches with Des somewhere else. I mean, you had your stuff. It's because it was what we could do at that time. Like sitting down and having a good dinner wasn't possible. But when we do cook a good dinner, we feel so much better, right? If we just cook good protein, we have a nice, side carb, a salad. Like I feel better the next day. On those weeks where we're going like 4 nights in a row and we have to eat on the fly, I feel like crap.
Yeah, I know it's easier, but I think that shouldn't be people's default. I think people's default should be I could go to the store, I can buy a bag of rice for the week or a bag of potatoes.
Hmm.
They're your carbs for the week. Buy some broccoli or some lettuce. They're your greens,
Hmm.
maybe some tomatoes. And then you could buy a big pack of ground meat for pretty cheap or some chicken, and not like not cheap, but
Right.
not like a big grass-fed steak that's like $50 a pound.
Right. I mean, you could
I'm
eat
saying like,
chicken. You can get bone-in chicken very cheap,
yep.
and there are cuts of meat that you can get. The other day we bought bananas, and you were like, bananas, great value, right? I mean, they are.
And they don't really like go up and down in price. I mean, maybe a little bit up since the start of COVID, but
No, it's not a lot.
and maybe 10-15 cents. And it's not really, you get like 6-7 bananas for like $1.50. And I know I have that for breakfast some mornings, and I mean, it's good food. It's like dense. It's
Yeah. But, people also, will stop and get a Starbucks drink and not realize, how many calories they're taking in and how much sugar it is. And I mean, you do it,
I did this morning.
Yeah, and I love Starbucks. I go for their coffee normally. I mean, sometimes I'll get one of those refresher drinks if it's hot or something like that, but normally I just get coffee. But typically, if I'm buying for the rest of the house, I'm buying 4 frozen drinks. And they're a lot, but it's not just our house that drinks that. It's like everybody. And, it's not that just there. It's soda. It's all that stuff. It's all bad. But it's easy. It tastes good, and people love it. I mean, I like ice cream, and you guys all know that. I mean, the two of you in that room know, like, I can easily be swayed into getting a milkshake.
Yep.
I'm trying not to right now because I do feel crappy at the moment. Like, and I'm trying to be better about it.
If I ask in about 2 hours, if you want a
Nope.
milkshake,
Nope. I have frozen fruit. So what I did the other day is I bought when I'm successful at not eating that stuff, I typically have a big bag of frozen fruit and mixed berries, and I'll eat a bowl of frozen fruit, and it's enough to kind of knock that milkshake thought out of my head. But again, like not everybody can afford an $8 bag of frozen fruit to, you know, alleviate a milkshake craving. Like I feel pretty lucky sometimes.
milkshake is $8 though. $6.
Well, yeah, at the Sparta Shack or wherever we go. I don't know. Everything's expensive, but the idea here is just treat yourself a little bit better. I mean, it's simple stuff. It could start with a walk. You know, just walking, just moving helps, right?
It's great for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that you work out a lot, so you're pretty healthy and, you know, but again, there's plenty of people that don't, right? Plenty of people in your school probably that don't take care of themselves and, you know, a lot of kids. So,
But like just like simple walk, maybe some like push-ups or sit-ups. I mean, I know it's not a lot, but there's some cardio in there. If you can move your body weight, then that means you're somewhat healthy.
right.
So I think if you do like a push-up, like some push-ups, maybe some squats.
Yeah. Tons of
that.
workouts on YouTube. I mean, you can just jump
Yoga.
just yoga workouts. Yoga's really hard. I did hot yoga not long ago. It was hard. I felt totally
Stretching is huge. I think there's also like with school, I think there's some things like we have health class, but I don't think we really learn like how you should be treating yourself. I think like physical activity, what food you take in, stretching, mental health. I think those all should be like incorporated into school at some point.
It should, and it should be incorporated into sort of everyday life and just like culture. I mean, I think at work is Mental Health Month. This month is May is Mental Health Month. So I think 1 week we're dedicating to mental health and we're giving like a half hour each of those days, which is like, I mean, realistically, that's not enough, right? Like to make a commitment to change people's mental health, if you're going to do it in, you know, a school or a job, like you got to give a little bit more than what is that, like 4 hours?
It's like 2
Not
hours.
even. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great start. I think that, you know, overall as a country, we need to do more to help people, you know, to your point before, you know, you're rushing towards happiness, you know. I don't think we should be rushing towards happiness. I think happiness should be like just a step away and you know, for all of us. And you know, again, I don't think that happiness, you know, I don't want anybody to think that Winston's like not happy, but you know, he's talking about like long-term happiness. You know, if you're, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of people who are like in a very bad spot and they don't know how to get out of it and they don't have the tools and they don't have the access to them. We got to make that stuff more available through schools, through jobs, through, you know, public entities. It's a real problem. So I'm glad that you help people out with that stuff.
I mean, getting like the rushing thing is more, it's not rushing, it's keeping your mind off of things that it shouldn't be on. So people fill their time up with watching TV or stuff. And I know I can scroll through TikTok for hours, but
all you do is watch Netflix.
But I also, just like you said, I'm filling up my time with classes and working out. But that's kind of the idea behind it is if I can fill my schedule up enough, then I don't have time to go back or not go back, but lean on bad things that I shouldn't be doing.
I get you. Well, I don't want to keep you all night. So I end with a question of give everybody either a TV show, songs, music artist, movie. Give us a couple things. I won't ask books because you don't read, so I'm not even going to bother with the book thing. But give us the other ones if you can. One of each: TV show, movie, music.
Um, like a suggestion
Yeah, something that you enjoy right now at this moment in time.
for a TV show, The Arrow. I'm rewatching it again.
Okay.
It's a great show. I think it's fun to watch. Something you have on the background, and it's interesting. A movie. Tomorrow night, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out. I'm hearing it's supposed to be great.
Okay.
That's the next movie I'm watching.
Okay.
And then music, Noah Khan is definitely huge. Mumford and Sons, just Mountjoy, the Lumineers. I think their music is great, and it helps me relax or cheer me up if I'm a little upset after something like a bad soccer game. I know that's what I'll go listen to. And it's like, if you like rap music, it's not like super far off in a way, because it's still got like the beat and the rhythm to it. So
Okay. Good. I like those.
and then I guess another show I just started watching again, All American, but it's the Homecoming, so watch that. If you haven't watched Outer Banks, I think that's a great one too.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. I am gonna go with, for my shows, I am watching House of Cards right now on Netflix. I know Kevin Spacey's not a good name, but it is an interesting show. It's a little bit spicier than our normal political dramas, so it's been fun to watch.
No Ted Lasso?
Well, I talked about Ted Lasso last week. So, yes, I mean, Ted Lasso is huge. I just got a Ted Lasso figurine from my best friend. He sent me a limited edition Ted Lasso figure. So that was cool. But definitely House of Cards if you are into political drama and can get over Kevin Spacey's face. Give it a watch. For music this week, I'm going to go with Matt Nathanson. We saw him a couple months ago at Bethel, and I kind of continue to go back to his songwriting. So those are mine for the week. I don't have anything else. It's hard to give these every week.
Movies are hard.
Yeah.
We're not really a movie house.
We are not a movie house. We definitely get into our shows. We've been watching downstairs with Des. We've been watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which is also good and has a killer soundtrack. So I'm sure if you go on
Umbrella Academy
is a great soundtrack too, but Sweet Tooth is really good. Mountjoy was on there, Lumineers were on there. I mean, it is definitely our style of music. Umbrella Academy soundtrack to me was more so that it was tied with awesome dance scenes. So 2 of the greatest dance scenes ever on television, Umbrella Academy. So you can watch that too. That's about it this week. Again, this is I'm guessing like a substitute episode. We will see. I mean, it's possible that the person shows up for the recording at 9, but I'm not sure. So more to come. But thank you, Winston. I appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man and very fast paced. So
gotta go get dinner now.
You gotta go get dinner now. And I will talk to you in a minute, and I will see everybody, or whatever we do on Podcast World, next week. If you could subscribe, like, review, whatever the things are on the platform that you're listening to, it would be highly appreciated. And that's it. Bye-bye.